Hey everybody, it's Doug Moore here. It's good to be here this morning, and as promised, I want to share some information about how to increase sales and really some of what I think are the most critical elements to making a big impact on sales really quickly. Before I do that, I want to give you a little bit of background on myself and kind of how I got here. I've been involved in sales and running companies, and as the CEO and owner of the company, I always felt like I was really the sales manager. And years ago, 30 years ago now, we had a really exciting opportunity with Vulcan Publishing, and after 5 years, I had probably 25 or 30 sales guys, and we were having a lot of success, but we were doing sales the same way everybody else did. We had a script, a list of people to call, and man, we would just pound it. I mean, we were pounding the phone, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And while we were successful, at the end of the day and the end of the week, we were completely exhausted. We had very little customer retention. We had a lot of turnover in the sales department. And I said, there's got to be a better way to do this. It doesn't have to be this hard. And I was just attracted to anything I could find to read about building a company and success and sales. And over the course of time, we totally changed our approach to sales. And instead of having a sales script, we went to a list of key questions. And so instead of 90% of our conversation with a client being a presentation, 90% became discovery. And it was life-changing for everybody. What we saw is that we, through asking questions, discovered the needs of a particular client. And if we were able to fill those needs, we had a long-term client. Our employees had greater success, particularly in terms of customer retention, and turnover went down. It was a radical change to our business, and it is just, without question, in my opinion, particularly today, in today's economy, and people don't want to be sold, they don't like salespeople. If you're really focused on helping your client with a particularly important pain point, instead of pitching them all the time and trying to sell them what you've got, you're going to do much better. And that was what happened with us. And over the next 25 or 30 years, I continued to, every time we launched a magazine, I would begin with a list of key questions and arm the sales department with that instead of features and benefits. I ended up consulting for 25 or 30 developers and people in other markets. And in each case, I did the same thing, and we always had the same success. So as promised, I'm going to get into 4 keys that are significant in driving sales. And this message is really for owners of company, vice president of sales, sales manager, and really a salesperson who wants to improve and grow. And if you'll learn to do the things that I'm recommending, your success will go up and you won't be under the kind of stress that you're under now. So the first thing I would tell you to do is perfect your message. And what I mean by that is, there's so much clutter out there. If you look at advertising messages you see every day, some people are doing an incredible job. Others are too focused on the details. One great example are trade shows. We ran a trade show marketing company and had the 200 top trade show producers in the world as clients. And one of the things we would do is go to the trade show, go to a trade show meeting in advance of the show and work with exhibitors on how to improve results from the trade show. And the first thing we would say is your messaging has to be about what key thing do you do as a company that your customers can't do without. What is it that is, what's the magic in what you do? And it's got to be simply stated. It's not about features and benefits. You walk through a trade show, and particularly in manufacturing, you'd have all these certifications up on the, behind the booth, and all these details, and people would walk by and it would be kind of a blur. They're like, oh, I'm suffering from information overload. So from a corporate standpoint, whether you're the CEO or you're over marketing or you're the sales manager, you have to perfect your message to clearly state and identify what is it that you really do that matters. And that's the first step. And if you can learn to do that, then you will simplify your sales message. The real magic behind great marketing and sales is taking something complex and making it simple. And unfortunately, a lot of times we get so caught up in how great we are that we want to tell everybody, and we lose them in the minutia. I was on a call with we have an incredible social media product that's just the success we're having with it is over the top, and we had an agency pitching us on a new video media tool for social media last week. And I was on the phone with the founder of that company and our CEO and a couple of other people. And the guy got so caught up in the technology of what he was doing, he completely lost us. And my buddy at the company set up, I'm texting him. I said, hey, dude, we gotta cut this off. You've lost him. And he lost everybody. So don't do that. Make absolutely certain that you focus on what is it we do well, what's our real message, and keep it simple. The second thing is what I talked about before, and that is really changing your sales process from presentation to discovery. And here's the way that really works. So when a salesperson calls somebody on the phone, if they immediately start talking about their product and how great they are, the prospective client shuts down immediately. But if you call and you say, I'm Bill Jones with ABC Company, and you're asking him questions about his business relative to what you do, then you open up dialogue so you can determine whether he has a problem that you can solve. If you don't have a problem you can solve, you're not going to make a sale anyway. So you have to begin the process with discovery. So from a corporate standpoint, whether you're the sales manager, the CEO, the president, the owner of the company, you have to arm your sales team with great questions, not great features and benefits, right? Because people don't want to hear them. Those guys, the people you're calling on, are getting called by competitors every day. So that's the first thing. The second thing is change the process from presentation to discovery. Now I'm going to give you a secret. And if you don't write down anything else, I tell you, write this down. Because this is worth the 20 minutes that you've invested in this. So what you have to do is ask the question, the only question that truly matters, and that's where does it hurt? And I'll give you an example. About 10 years ago, we took over sales and marketing for an incredible project in Costa Rica called Reserva Conchal. It was just number one golf course in Central America. I mean, just heaven. What a gig. I ended up moving there and built a home and was there for about 3 years. And what we learned very quickly is that those people who were interested in buying a second home, and particularly a second home somewhere like Costa Rica, the reason fit into one of 3 or 4 categories. And if I could get them to that, and I could ask the right question. So here was the question in that case. Why would you be interested in buying a second home in Costa Rica? I mean, really. And sometimes you have to ask the question more than one time. And it's not about, well, I like Costa Rica better than Florida, or the prices in Costa Rica are 20% less than Arizona. That's not it at all. So if I could get them to tell me, I'm really interested in leaving a legacy of memories for my children and my grandchildren, then I had them right. I knew that was what really mattered. Not how many bedrooms or whether it had an ocean view. If I could get them in touch with the real motivator. So you think about it. If you're, and this was, I'd say it probably represented 60% of our clients. So if I had a prospect who had been successful and made money, and they were, in their, say in their 60s and maybe retirement or getting into retirement age, they were seeing less and less of their children. They had grandchildren already or grandchildren on their way. And what they really wanted was to leave a legacy of memories for their children and have a home place for them. And that would apply to buying a second home in Florida or in the mountains or wherever. But once I got them in touch with that, and then we talked about what an incredible opportunity it would be to have their grandchildren in a place like Costa Rica, which I'm a huge fan of Costa Rica. Then I knew the secret, right? I knew exactly what it was going to take. And once they made a decision to buy and they made a deposit and they got back home, their buddies would go, "Have you lost your mind? You bought an $850,000 condo in Costa Rica?" And we knew that in advance, so we would always get them back in touch with that. It was really important to make sure they got back in touch with what really motivated them, because they weren't buying it because it was less expensive than Florida. They were buying it because of the unique opportunity to create something special for their family. So whatever that secret question is for your business, you need to uncover it. The same thing works in media. If we've launched 62 magazines, I don't know how many web properties. I was the chairman and founder of Scout.com before we sold it to Fox. It was always the same question. What is the real motivation behind someone advertising? What is it that they're really trying to accomplish? What pain do they have that I can resolve? And once I get in touch with that, and all of my communications becomes about that specific need and filling that need, then if I can do it, I have a customer for life. The third thing is, if you're going to make a radical change from features and benefits and focusing on all the great things you do to discovery and filling need, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not going to happen overnight. And if you've got a staff of people that you're trying to change, you have to be willing to invest the time in training. And the way you really look, two key elements to that. The first one is you have to arm them with a great list of questions, right? What are the key pain points that you want to try to get the client to so that you can fill need? What questions will engage them and help build rapport? So you have to build that list. The second thing is you really have to lead. So with our social media project, we've got salespeople around the country. It's a very complex solution. And with every salesperson that we've hired, I've said, look, get an appointment set and let me show you, right? So instead of managing you, I want to lead you. If you'll do what I'm doing and let me show you how to ask the right questions and lead them down the right road, then you'll have success. And then all they have to do is really emulate you. Sales meetings are another great example of how sales management is done wrong. Sales people hate 90% of the sales meetings. And the reason is because they're brought in, whether it's remotely or everybody's there together, we go over performance for the previous week or the previous month. We talk about what accounts have closed, which ones haven't closed. Frankly, those should be done one-on-one, not in a sales meeting. Your sales meeting should be an opportunity to lead and train, right? So you want to give them some questions that have worked, right? You want to talk about case studies where somebody had success. I have a training session on storytelling, and that's an incredible opportunity for you to share stories. The second part of that is really, from a sales meeting standpoint, is what are you really doing to motivate your team? And incentive, there are only really three ways to motivate anybody to do anything, particularly salespeople, and that's fear, incentives, and really through goal setting. And we were very fortunate when we built Vulcan. When I sold the company, we had 200 salespeople, 400 employees, and I really believe the two primary reasons we were blessed as a company and we were successful were because of our sales methodology and our system, and the second one was because of how we chose to lead our people. So we put in a system where we wanted our employees to share with us their personal goals, and then we would work with them to show them how to actualize those goals through the company goals. Now, I'll give you an example. If someone, said, my goal is to sell $1 million next year, and they sell $700,000 the previous year, then two things were really important for me to understand. The first one was, what would the additional $30,000 in income mean to them specifically? Why did they want to increase their income? Were they trying to move into a better neighborhood for better schools for the kids? Were they trying to put money away for a college fund? Had they always wanted to go on, on a trip to Hawaii? Were they trying to, provide money for retirement? I needed to know that if I was going to truly keep them motivated and helping them, because then as the year wore on, I could remind them of it. But the second thing, and this is where I think people oftentimes fall short, is that I need to help them understand what changes they need to make in order to become a $1 million salesperson. In other words, if they didn't do it last year, maybe it wasn't because they weren't properly motivated, because they didn't have the tools and the training. So what do I need to do to help them develop their skills and make changes so that they could become a $1 million salesperson? Continuing to go over their pipeline with them is probably not going to be the answer to that. So when you think about motivating and training and leading, all of those things go hand in hand, and it's critical to your success. So I'm going to give you a couple of do's and don'ts. Do stick with it, right? Make certain when you make a decision to go from pure presentation or mostly presentation to discovery mode, arm yourself and your salespeople with tools that they're going to be required, and that's really the right list of questions. Make certain that there's a critical sales path that leads your team to success, and you stay with it and train them on how to make that happen and lead them and motivate them the right way. Don't give up too quick, and don't hand them this new methodology and expect everything to change, because if you do, you're not going to be happy with the results. So to review the 4 things we talked about, the first one is absolutely perfect your message, right? Make certain that your message as a company and your message from a sales standpoint focuses on what you do best. What do people love you for? What do they keep coming back to you for? The second thing is change your sales methodology from presentation to discovery. Make certain you know the secret question. What's the magic question? What is the pain? Where's the pain for your client? And if you can uncover that, then you'll have and resolve it for them. You have a client for life. The third thing, train and lead. Don't be afraid to show your team how to do it instead of constantly just telling them. And then the fourth thing is use goal setting to change attitudes, to help people grow. I'm going to tell you what will happen. If you show someone how to change their life, increase their income, make changes for their family they wouldn't have done without you, you'll have employees that will follow you anywhere you want to go. And it's also, I taught a class at Vulcan for twice a year. It took 16 weeks every year. You couldn't move up in the company without going through the sales manager training class. The number one item in there was about how to lead and motivate your people. I didn't want to build a company built on fear and manipulation. We wanted people to change their lives through goal setting, through our organization. And as a result, we had somewhere I was proud to go to work at every day, and I think our team was as well. So if you've enjoyed this and I've blessed you with it, do me a favor. There's something I want you to do, and that is click on the bottom of the screen and share it. So whether that's Twitter or Facebook or YouTube, I'm sure you have friends and colleagues that are in sales or own companies, and if you think this would be a blessing to them, then send it to them. The second thing is we have an email newsletter. I produce a sales blog once a week on video, so sign up for it and you'll get it every week. There's no charge, and we won't share your email address with anybody else. And then the final thing is we consult or really coach for a small handful of companies that are a good fit for us. And if you would like help, if you'd like for me to show you how to do this and help you increase sales by doing the things we've talked about, then there's a questionnaire at the bottom of the page. And if for the first 20 people who'll fill that out, I'm happy to provide you with a 30-minute free consultation. At the end of that, if we think we can work together and I believe I can help you, then we'll talk about entering into a coaching arrangement so that I can get involved and help your business. I will say that I'm batting 1,000%. I've taken on dozens of clients through the years, and in every single case, we've been able to increase sales. So guys, have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you again. God bless y'all.